For thousands of years, smoked fish was a survival food. People would cure their catches by salting them and hanging them to dry, or by smoking them over an open fire. This enabled people in cold climates to stockpile nutrient-rich fish for those long winter months. Today we smoke fish primarily to enhance its flavor. This is wild sockeye salmon that was gutted and frozen right on board the fishing trawler to preserve maximum freshness. The smokehouse defrosts the fish over 15 hours in running water that's just 2 degrees above freezing. This slow, cold water thaw helps prevent bacteria from forming. Next stop, filleting. First, they slice off what's known as the collar, the fish version of the neck. Then they cut each fish in half lengthwise, separating 2 fillets from what's called the control bone, the fish equivalent of a spinal column. The tail is attached to it. They feed the control bones into a machine that strips off any remaining scraps of flesh. The machine grinds these bits into minced salmon, which is used to make salmon pie. They trim the fillets using a razor-sharp knife, slicing off the fins, any excess fat, and any control bone fragments left behind. After this, the fish will be ready for curing, a preservation process that also enhances taste. Workers coat the fillets in a mixture of salt and 26 spices, then let them sit for roughly an hour and a half. This short cure time will limit the salmon's salt content to less than 1%. To stop the curing process, they rinse off the coating with cold water, then glaze the fillets with maple syrup to neutralize any remaining salt residue. Some companies use a less costly mix of boiled water and brown sugar. The fillets go into a huge smoke oven. Workers load its combustion chamber with sawdust. Maple tree sawdust for the first 8 hours of smoking, cherry tree sawdust for the next 8 hours, and apple tree sawdust for the last 8 hours. This particular sequence is a major factor in flavoring the fish. They douse the fire with water to generate smoke. This process is called cold smoking because the oven temperature is 10 degrees Celsius, significantly lower than the industry norm of 25 degrees. Smoking at this lower temperature takes at least 24 hours, 3 times longer than the norm. But the company says it produces a moister product. When the fillets come out of the smoke oven, they're thoroughly cooked, but still have the consistency of raw fish. Workers remove the pin bones, 40 thin bones per fillet, located between the head and fin. The fillets then go through a skinning machine, which neatly slices off the skin without removing any flesh. Then it's into a freezer at -3 degrees Celsius. This firms up the fillets, making them easier to slice. The manual slicing machines cut them into pieces about 2 millimeters thick. Workers weigh out the amount they're packaging, in this case 70 grams. They place each portion on a tray made of aluminum-coated cardboard. Aluminum blocks the fat from seeping through. To kill off any remaining bacteria, they vacuum pack the wrappers, then deep freeze them for about an hour at -35 degrees Celsius. They store and ship at a milder -18, the temperature of your home freezer, where this preservative-free smoked salmon stays fresh for a full year.
Ham is the hind leg of a pig. You can buy it raw or roast it yourself, or you can buy it already cured and smoked. You can buy your ham boneless or with the bone still intact. Bone-in ham has more flavor because processing doesn't disturb the natural muscle, fat, and bones. Thousands of hams arrive at the factory, fresh from the slaughterhouse. The factory's automated sorting system weighs each ham, then knocks it into the designated vat. By grouping hams of similar size together, the factory can better control the quality of the curing and cooking process. Each vat empties into a tumbler. The machine spins the hams for about 5 minutes, loosening the skin from the meat. Tumbling makes this next step easier. Using specialized trimming tools, workers cut off the skin. They use an automatic trimming machine to skin the back portion, called the butt. In keeping with traditional style, the machine leaves just a small amount of skin on the thin part of the leg, called the shank. Now the circular wizard knife does its magic. They run it across the butt to remove all but a centimeter of fat. Finally, they chop off the base of the almost meatless shank, called the hock. Other workers prepare the curing solution: water, sugar, salt, and other ingredients that are a company secret. This recipe produces that trademark ham flavor and pink color. Without it, the meat would come out tasting like a pork roast. Pipes feed the solution to an injection machine that's equipped with 138 needles. As the hams pass underneath, the needles inject curing solution. This ensures the cure penetrates thoroughly and evenly. All that piercing also tenderizes the meat. Next, workers load a machine called the stuffing horn. Like a cannon, it fires each ham into a heat-resistant cotton net. Workers close each one with an aluminum clip, then cut off the excess. Cooking hams on trays would flatten the underside, so workers hang them by the nets to keep them nice and round. They move the cooking racks into a food processing oven, the industrial equivalent of a traditional smokehouse. They pour hickory wood chips into the oven's smoker and start her up. For the next 12 hours, the hams slow cook at temperatures ranging between 65 and 82 degrees Celsius. This tenderizes the meat and gives the smoke ample time to seep in. After cooking, workers shower the hams in cold water for 10 minutes. This rinses away drippings falling from higher hams onto lower ones. Then it's onto the chill area, where over the next 36 hours, the hams cool to -2 degrees Celsius. The nets come off and packaging begins. The factory sells hams whole or, using a bandsaw, slices them into halves or smaller sizes, such as single-portion ham steaks. Workers position a soft plastic pad over the bone, then bag the ham in plastic. The pad prevents the bone's sharp edges from ripping the package and destroying the airtight seal. They position each bag for vacuum sealing. From there, it's all automated. A vacuum chamber descends over each bag, sucking out the air and sealing the plastic. A robotic arm transfers the vacuum-sealed ham to a conveyor belt, leading to a hot water bath. Each bag spends a mere 5 seconds in hot water, but that's enough to shrink the plastic tightly around the ham. Refrigerated, the ham stays fresh in its airtight package for 3 months. Store it in your freezer, and you can ham it up for 6 months more.